Hey guys, and welcome back to The Wilder Side. Today, I'm going to Poundland. I haven't been to Poundland in about 4 years, something like that, not stepped foot inside one at all. So I'm really intrigued to see what we can get there. I'm going to be only eating food from Poundland for the next 48 hours. But I've done zero preparation for this, so we're just going to go in and buy as much as we can and see what we get. And what's quite fun with this one is this time, whatever I make for dinner, Carolina is going to be having with me. So my journey into Poundland began, and what first struck me was the sheer amount of branded products they had. So literally while I was there, I decided that I was going to try and stick to unbranded products, the kind of things that you don't normally find in a supermarket. By the end, I had a pretty decent full basket filled to the brim with things. Now I'll let you know at the end of the video how much all of that cost. So when I got home, I had my first meal, which was my lunch. I opted for a lunch deal sandwich, although I didn't actually get it in the lunch deal. I just got the sandwich itself. Being the festive season, I decided to go for the festive turkey sandwich, which was surprisingly good. The turkey that was in there, honestly, I found it very enjoyable. It wasn't too dry, which a lot of turkey normally is, and a lot of these sandwiches that you get in Tesco, Sainsbury's, wherever, I feel like they lather them in mayo, to the point where you do actually get in Tesco, a lot of them on the sandwich now say, no mayo. Now, they said the right amount of sauce in it, both mayonnaise and cranberry. I genuinely found it a very tasty sandwich. I'd give the sandwich about 3.5, 4 out of 5. Like, honestly, it was a tasty sandwich. Poundland doing it right, and their entire meal deal is one of the cheaper ones that you can get, sitting at about £3.50. I also had an instant coffee with my lunch. I bought this coffee because, you know, I was hard committing, no Nespresso for me for 48 hours, hard committing. It was that sachet coffee, and, you know, it was a little bit, I was worried it was going to be too sweet. I often find sachet coffees quite sweet, and I like no sugar in my coffee. I like it as bitter and strong as possible. While it did taste of coffee, it also just tasted a little bit just sweet to me, so it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. 2 out of 5, coffee wasn't great, but at least you can get coffee at Poundland. Dinner that night, and Carolina had agreed to have dinner with me. Rice in a bag is normal to me, or just, you know, dry rice. But frozen rice, it was different. It was a different thing that I'd ever heard. I've never left my rice to defrost in a sink before, but I did. I had my rice, frozen rice, and I found a really nice looking gammon joint. So I cut the gammon up into nice little chunks with some mushroom that I found, and I also found some fresh tomatoes. So they do have a bit of fresh produce there. There wasn't loads to choose from. So I just kind of chucked it all in a pan together, did a bit of a stir fry, and it wasn't half bad. Now, the green you do see in it is a bit of parsley chopped up from the garden. It was pretty good. The one thing about it, I would say, is it was a little bit too salty. Probably my fault, I probably over-seasoned it, but equally, gammon itself can be quite a salty meat. While I was cooking it, a lot of water came off it as well, but I did have to drain that slightly, and it made it much, much nicer altogether. Also on the side, we had these chicken and chorizo balls. They were kind of like meatballs in a way. I mean, I guess they are meatballs, they're chicken and chorizo. But it said you can have them cold or you have them warm, so I heated them up in the oven for a little bit, and they came out really good, and they were probably the best part of this meal. They were really flavorful, really, really tasty, and they actually went well with the dish that we made. Carolina's thoughts on them? Yeah, she gave them a thumbs up. She quite enjoyed the chicken and chorizo balls, but her thoughts on the main meal? Yeah, so she wasn't entirely sure about this. Same as me, she thought it was a little bit salty. So I'd give that main meal about a 3.5 out of 5. But those chicken and chorizo balls, they were really good, really good. So a solid 4 out of 5, easy. I was then really lucky, and I wanted to get some kind of dessert over the next couple of days. And what I did manage to find was this Betty Crocker instant cookie dough stuff. So all it was just add water, and I was like, oh, I've got water at home, which is great. I put the amount of water it told me to in them, which was 2 tablespoons, and the dough just wasn't coming together. So I definitely just put in a bit more water than actually was intended by quite a ways, to the point where I was meant to have a stiff dough. It ended up a little bit of a wet dough. So I did struggle a little bit to put all of the cookies out, and I think the batter made 6 of them or so altogether. And again, it told me in the oven 10 to 12 minutes, 18. Had to have them in for 18 minutes. Fully preheated oven as well. So that was a bit of a shame, but you know, they were good cookies. They came out looking really good. They tasted really good as well for an instant mix, really soft, really chewy, decent amount of chocolate chunks in there. So I was pretty impressed with these. I'd give them a solid 4 out of 5, if not a 5 out of 5, because, you know, I do love a cookie. I'm looking for your recipes. That's right, I want you to put a dish in the comments below that you make regularly. It could be a family favourite, your comfort food, or an indulgent treat. I just need the name of the dish. Comment Cook is starting in 2024. What? I told you I love a cookie. My normal experience of Poundland years ago when I was a kid, or even more recently when I've gone in, everything was £1. At least almost everything, you know, maybe there was a couple of products that are a couple of pounds or so. But no, literally, there is barely anything in Poundland that is £1 anymore. At this point, it might as well just be called land. It is worth mentioning that a lot of people don't have any other choice than to shop at shops like Poundland, and how inflation has gone, where, you know, previously they could get great deals on certain things for £1. Now, unfortunately, things have just gone way up in price. I think there was only a few products that I actually managed to get for £1. I was even looking, and some of the tins of baked beans were way more than £1, like £1.40, £1.50, which it's shocking. It's a tin of beans. So that moved on to Monday. So for breakfast, first thing I did is I bought some oats for 75p, so even under £1. So there are some things that are under £1, which is pretty good. I had seen on TikTok recently how easy it was to make oat milk. So I thought I'd give it a try. Thought this was the perfect time. I bought some nut milk bags a little while ago, so I just followed the recipe, which was literally just chucking a load of oats and a load of water into a blender, blend it up, strain it through your bag, Bob's your uncle. You can tell the quality of the oats from the oat milk. Like, it was a little bit grainy, but then at least I had milk for the rest of the time. I found a load of frozen fruit, and in retrospect I wish I bought a couple just to bulk it up a bit, but I ended up just shoving the entirety of this frozen blueberry bag in the blender, and then topped it up with a load of the oat milk that I just made, blitzed it all up, and lo and behold, I had a blueberry smoothie. Also found, I know I had oats, but I found an instant oat pot, so I also made that, which was just to add boiling water and stir it. Now, unfortunately, similarly to the Betty Crocker, I feel like the guidelines weren't quite accurate. It told me to fill it to the line, wait for a minute, give it a stir, all of that kind of thing. And it came out much sloppier and watery, much more watery than I would normally have my porridge. It was a solid breakfast overall. I wouldn't rate too highly a lot of the different things I made, but if I get some better oats next time, I might actually start making oat milk. It felt really easy. I then took Riley out for a walk as usual, and then came back and had some lunch. Now, lunch that day, it was finally time to use the bread. And I also cut up a bit of a cucumber that I found, and cut up one of the tomatoes as well. And I'd found this cheese and spring onion mix, which I opened it and it was much more solidified and solid than I thought it was. It was really nice. I spread it all, laid out my cucumber and my tomato, closed it up. It was a really tasty sandwich. That sandwich filling, they had a couple. I think they had a chicken one. They definitely had a crab flavored filling, and I was half tempted to get the crab flavored filling, but yeah, seafood flavored, like what is it? What is it made of? That's what I want to know. But it was a sound sandwich. It was an absolutely sound sandwich. Like, there was nothing ultimately wrong with it in any way, shape or form. I'd give it a 3 or 4 out of 5. I also had these chicken drumsticks for lunch. You could eat them cold, you could eat them hot. I opted for heating them up in my air fryer, just put them in for about 6 minutes or so. You know, they were all right, just a bit under-seasoned, really. Otherwise, just tasted like chicken. I was under the impression they sold raw meat, more than just the gammon, that you could then cook yourself. And I was interested to get that and try the quality of it. It wasn't meant to be, they didn't have it, so we had this cooked chicken instead. Yeah, finally dinner that day, and I really wanted to go out with a bit of a bang on this. So I had a really good look around. I didn't want to get frozen chicken nuggets, frozen turkey dinosaurs, and I found a full roast dinner. They had beef, they had chicken, they had lamb, so I thought I'd treat myself. I opted for the lamb. It was a full roast dinner with peas, carrots, Yorkshire pudding, gravy, potatoes, and the meat. It's not often, I feel, that I see full frozen roast dinners, but it's really great that there is that option there. And they were even on offer. It said £2.75 on the box
but it actually was £2 altogether. So it just went in the oven. I was really pleasantly surprised by it. The one thing would be, I tried to present it the way it came on the box, and it didn't quite look like that. I think all of it did, other than the meat was 4 very small pieces. It still tasted good. I was really surprised with the potatoes. They were well seasoned, they came out crispy, they were very tasty. The peas and carrots tasted like your generic peas and carrots mix that you get in the frozen aisle, so nothing wrong there. The Yorkshire pudding, again, like a frozen Yorkie, perfectly adequate, perfectly fine. And then the meat. The meat did taste a bit like deli meat, but there is nothing wrong with that. And the gravy was actually really good. It wasn't as big a portion as I was hoping for, but yeah, it was honestly really good. The fact that you're able to get that for a couple of quid, so you know, if you don't know how to cook, or if you are struggling to buy a full big thing of meat yourself to feed the family, you can buy a few of these for 6 quid, and then you're feeding 3 of you, and everyone can have different meat. Like, it's a viable option, it really is. It did remind me, and I mean no ill will by this, school Christmas roast dinners that you get, and they were amazing as a kid, honestly. Something that you always love, so it felt like a bit of nostalgia for me as well. And with that, we'd lasted about 36, 37, 38 hours on purely Poundland food. So it moved on to the final, which was breakfast. I managed to find pancakes and bacon. You can buy pre-made pancakes, which just said, put them in the oven, put them in the microwave, or do them on the hob in a frying pan. Really tasty little pancakes. They were really good little morsels. Had them with the bacon. Bacon, really good quality bacon as well. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. As good as any other bacon that you get from any other supermarket. And I think it was £1.40, £1.50 or so. So not too badly priced compared to other bits of bacon that you could get. Anyway, it was a tasty breakfast. I feel like I went out on a bang, and you know, I feel altogether I ate pretty well for these last 48 hours, and that was all from Poundland. The full shop together cost me £27.25, but a lot of these products are going to last me a lot longer. So we've got our bread for the week, I've still got some gammon left, I've still got tomatoes, I've still got cucumber. So there's a lot that we still have a lot of, which will last the rest of the week. I don't think it's viable to do an entire food shop. It's missing a few fresh ingredients and things. I feel like some people, and myself before going into this challenge, do sometimes have an aversion to somewhere like Poundland, but it's actually pretty good. So yeah, Poundland, whilst I'm a bit upset that everything didn't cost £1 like it used to, it's still a decent place to shop. I still go there. You can get a full roast dinner there. You can get pancakes there. You can get a lot there. Guys, I hope this has been interesting. Hope this has been informative. Are there any products that you feel I should have got, which I missed out on? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Take it easy. I'll see you next week.